Jenny, I'm sure you all know Jenny from North Rothamsted, and she's the chair of the International Symposium on Soil Organic Matter this year in Rothamsted. So wonderful that you're here, Jenny. Thanks so much.
I'm sorry I didn't get to talk to you. I really meant to get here early enough to talk to some of you before we started, but the vagaries of the Cotswold Lanes caught me out again. So I'm really pleased to listen to hear Richard's talk. It's one of the best talks I've ever heard from a non-soil scientist. Really well done. I mean, you know, and it shows us that the conversations that we've been having over the last 5 or 10 years, and I think are starting to come together, you know, with the information's getting out there, which is really great. I'm going to concentrate on the proxy measures that we've been using. I want to introduce Claire Horrocks at the back here, who's been working with me for quite a few years now. And some of the work that we've been doing together. Okay, so if you've got any questions about this, you can ask Claire and me, if you can't get hold of one of us. So I want to start with some definitions. I think Richard sort of touched on some of these, but I just want to make it clear, okay, that soil health indicators are not soil carbon indicators. Okay, they indicate lots of different things about soil quality. This is the definition given by the Food and Agriculture Organisation. Soil health indicators help us evaluate how soil functions, since you can't always see that function, you can't always measure that function, but it's what we're interested in. And this is my opinion, and I think the evidence is building that soil health is impossible without a sustained supply of soil organic matter. You take it out, the soil health, the soil quality goes away. Right, Richard?
Yeah.
What you've seen on your farm. Soil organic carbon is a large part of soil organic matter. So it's about 60%. And when we measure soil organic matter by loss and ignition or Walkley Black or any of those things, I've never used Walkley Black, it looks like witchcraft to me. I think combusting carbon is the best way to measure it. If you get one of these measurements, so if you get soil organic matter, then it's about 60% of it is carbon. Okay, so that's the way to think about this when you see those different numbers. It's often confusing, so if somebody doesn't tell you what they're talking about, ask them. And quite simply, soil organic matter is mostly dead plant material, and it's in a process of decay from fresh plant material to soil organic to carbon dioxide gas. Now, we often talk about carbon sequestration, that we want to stop carbon dioxide coming out of the soils. Well, all of the functions that we like to have from carbon as it's decaying come from its decay. We don't want to lock it away. So, as far as I'm concerned, things like biochar and things which are very inert, supposedly, are not great for soils. They might increase the amount of carbon in the soil, but they're not doing any good for you. And actually, there's lots and lots of evidence about biochar which shows actually it doesn't stay in the soil very long either. So the decay is caused by organisms in the soil eating the soil organic matter. So you need to feed them. They're the things which are doing the work for you. This decay, the way it's happening, and lots to do with soil organisms, is linked to physical, chemical and biological processes, and we can see some of those, and those are what we call the indicators. So I'm going to talk to you about some of those. I don't want to make this sound complicated, but I just needed to give you some definitions, because there's a lot of jargon out there at the moment, and we need to be very clear. So Claire and I and other people have been thinking about soil health indicators and which ones are good proxies for soil organic matter, okay? Because it can be difficult and expensive, and you may not have the facilities to measure soil organic matter. We've been working with people in the developing world, in Colombia and Africa and places like that, where there are no labs. And what we're interested in are low-tech, zero-cost, in-field indicators. Okay? And through the science that we're doing, we're backing those up, right? This is what we're doing at the moment. We're trying to make sure those are robust scientifically, so that the people who might want to pay for carbon credits in the future have got a knowledge base to work from. So there are physical indicators, as I just said. Soil structure, I'm going to talk about that. Chemical indicators, best one is colour. Of course, one of the chemical indicators is soil organic matter, but you need to be able to measure that, and you can't do that in the field. So we're going to have a look at how easy it can be to see if there's a change. And biological indicators, earthworms had already been mentioned, but there are other. If you're, it depends how into your biology you are. You might be able to see other things in the soil. I don't think we're on the internet. I have got a film that came out yesterday, which has been filmed for the Royal Society of Biology, which shows some of those insects in the soil. Perhaps we can have a fiddle with there must be some internet somewhere, because it would be great for you to see some of the amazing animals that are living in your soil, in good soil. They're not in the bad soil. Now, this to me is a Bible. I think John was talking about the USDA, the NCRS and the ARS in the USA have been doing this sort of work for a very long time. And despite who is their president, these people are fantastic, and they're working with farmers all over America trying to help them to look after their soils. And Lupper and I went over to North Dakota earlier this year to the Badlands. These lands lost their topsoil in the 1930s. And we met some amazing people who are helping to restore those soils. And it can be done. You can bring soil back. And I think some of Rich's work has shown how that can happen in the UK if it's managed well. And this is one of the people that we met when we were over there, Jay Fura. I'm not going to say anything more about him, apart from this guy who's a Nuffield scholar has put some information onto the internet about his visit here. And Lupper and I saw exactly these things, and they're great indicators. Really, really simple. I'm going to talk about some of them. You can see they're made out of bits of his wife's kitchen, which I'm sure she's delighted about. But he talks to farmers all the time, and he advises Gabe Brown. And those of you who know about that movement in America on mob grazing, he is one of the major proponents. He works hand in hand with Jay. He's been working with him for about 20 years. Can't recommend it highly enough. So physical indicators. So let's start off just a little bit of soil science. So physical indicators, which I'm going to talk about, is controlled primarily by the soil texture. If you've got a sandy soil, it's never going to behave in the same way as a clayey soil. And that accounts for the amount of carbon that's in there as well. It's very hard to change. I've spoken to somebody in Australia who's trying to dig kaolin into his very sandy, old Australian soil to change the soil texture. Enormously difficult and not really working, it may not surprise you. It's controlled by soil organic matter content, and that's why we're interested in it today, but it's also influenced by management. So it doesn't matter actually how much carbon you put into your soil if you're going to squash it continually under heavy equipment and animals. So we can observe physical indicators in the field. I'm going to talk about each of these things. Change in density, aggregation, and hydrological properties. And I know that you're going to look at some of those today with other people. So I don't need to tell you this. Compaction, bad, friable, good. The things which indicate you've got compaction are a platy soil, so it divides into plains. The beds have sharp edges, and it drains poorly. And the opposite for friable soils. Really, really intuitive. This is some work which we've done at Rothamsted. This is an experiment which is at the main site in Harpenden. So these soils are permanent fallow soils, had no plants on it for 60 years. A soil which has been under arable rotation for 50 years, and permanent grass, which has been under permanent grass for at least 200 years. Same soil, exactly the same place. Completely different structure. And there is a relationship with soil and carbon. You can see that the grass has loads and loads of carbon in it, the arable has less carbon, and the fallow has hardly any at all. I also want you to look, because some of you are going to be talking about the Solvita test later on, at the respiration rates. Now this is really interesting to me, because it's not surprising that respiration is the CO2 given off by soils which you're incubating the same way as the Solvita test. There's lots and lots of carbon dioxide coming off it. It's alive, right? You've got lots of bacteria, you can see here. What was surprising for the people who did this work at Rothamsted was that even though there is a significant difference, which is indicated by those little bars, between this one and this one, it's not very much, right? Just shows you that the biology in these soils is much poorer in the arable versus the grassland, which is great for the PFLA. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying PLFA, right, because phospholipid fatty acids are one of the things that I use all the time in lab, and I've been saying it for 30 years and I can't stop myself. PFLA. Okay. Right, so, evidence. So I work really closely with the Tamar Valley Organic Group Biology, right, which are these guys, Rocco's here representing them. Oh, right, okay, yes. my friend. Right, this is some work which I did last year. We measured soil organic carbon stocks on different land use types on the same soil type all the way along the Soil Valley. This is on 15 farms. There are about 50 fields represented in this data. I'm not going to be too explicit about it because we're publishing it at the moment, but it was very kindly funded by the West Country Village Trust. And you won't be surprised to see that arable had the least carbon in it, late arable rotations had a bit more, permanent pasture had the most, and what was really exciting, especially given what Richard just said about under the hedge, is that a very long-term permanent pasture, and we're talking at least 30 years, has the same amount of carbon as a woodland soil. So you can build carbon in permanent pasture, but it's a long job. You know, you have to leave it as you have to manage it very well. Bulk density, which is the physical indicator that we looked at in these soils, had no change between arable, late arable, and permanent pasture. And this is because, what I said before, is that management and the structure of the soil, the texture of the soil, because these are all 25 to 30% clay, are more important than soil organic matter in managing the structure here. So the whole of the southwest, you know, the major soil problem is soil compaction. So you have to actually manage that as well. So things like sward lifting and all those sorts of things, yes, you might lose a bit of carbon, but productivity-wise, things like soil pH change, you need to manage it. So bulk density, compaction, you have to think about it. It's not so simple. However, this is, I'm not going to be biased here and tell you what your favourite's going to be by the end of the day. But I'm pretty keen on this one myself, and Claire and I both are, because this works in every soil that we've looked at around the world. So this is a little film here, and those are those soils which I showed you earlier on. This is the grassland soil, 200 years of grassland, 60 years of arable rotation. Because it would be sad if it doesn't. There we are. This is the slake test. And this has been changing people's minds all over the place. This was done by Chris Watts quite a long time ago. He was looking at the amount of carbon that you need to get into a soil to change its structure, and it's not very much. But you won't measure it as a change in soil carbon. So you can manage the soil health without necessarily seeing a big increase in soil carbon. You can see that this is about 3% carbon, this is 1.5% carbon. That's all it takes to change the response of soil in water to slaking. And so that's what that one looks like under a microscope. That's what the arable soil looks like. That's what the grassland soil looks like under a microscope. Okay? So this film I told you about, I had to call that goo because it was for school children. Effectively, that's what it is. It's the goo produced by biological things which hold soil particles together, stops them exploding when you put them into water. That's all it is. But you have to keep feeding those biological organisms to keep them doing that function for you. Okay, so again, Tamar Valley data. There's the carbon. What about water stable aggregates, which is the test that we did that actually Claire helped with most of all. Exactly correlated with the amount of carbon in the soil. Really, really great. Works everywhere, doesn't it, Claire? So I'm out for the jury, you can decide by the end of the day, but I put my money on next week. Okay, you're going to look at percolation and infiltration later on. I found this is the simplest picture. I don't know what kind of kit's going to be used, so I found this, which was a hole and a cane and some water. Again, this is a function of the structure of the soil. So in a way, if that was compacted, I mean, water will infiltrate more quickly if you have lots of soil carbon in there. But if that's compacted, that will be the major control on whether that has that infiltrates or not. But it is something you can do, and especially if you've got fields on the same soil type under different management, to see how your management is doing. But I don't really think it's a proxy for soil organic matter, but it is for soil health. Soil colour, and I have to say that I've only just heard just now about Tim, the village farm, and I am really, really devastated because we've been working with Bex and Tim at Village Farm on their agroforestry plots. And this is Claire and Zach down in Salcombe last year, and we've been looking at their soils under their new agroforestry plots compared with their moderated plots. So I'd like to thank them both for letting us onto their farm and say that Tim was just really excellent. Anyway, so this was a brilliant example of the simple colour change, okay? And you don't have to look at change over different land uses. You can look down the core. This is guidance from that Cornell manual, soil health manual. Organic matter colour. Core, the topsoil colour is similar to the subsoil colour. Really simple. You can just dig a pit. There is less carbon in the subsoil. So if your topsoil looks like the subsoil, there's less carbon in it. Really fantastic. I know that some of the apps that have been developed based on Munsell charts, which are about soil colour, kind of refer to this. But as a quick and easy test, and just dig a pit. This has been dried out. You always see the colour better if you dry the soil, if you take the water out. So just put it in the oven. Biological indicators, earthworms. So again, this is from the Cornell manual. It gives you the amount per shovelful. Remember that these were mostly developed for like the mollisol soils in America, the prairie soils, which are very deep and loamy, so they're going to be a little bit different from yours. But I think the thing to say about this is, use your own farm to make the comparisons. Don't worry about what other people are doing. If you see more earthworms in one field than the other, then you start using that as your gauge for when you revisit, perhaps if you've changed management. But I've spoken to Jackie Stroud at Rothamsted. She's our earthworm fellow. She couldn't be here today, but she's done some work which shows pretty typical things. Same sort of thing. Hardly any in a poor arable soil, lots in a grassland soil. This is the soil that we saw at Gabe's farm, Luppo, and you can see in here, if you look closer, it's a little bit small for you, but there's loads of holes here. And obviously lots of earthworms, where you just pick up a clod and break it. Plants love this sort of soil. Water gets into it, nutrients gets into it. The roots use the earthworm channels, and the earthworm channels use the roots. It's a totally virtuous cycle. And there's this really great facility, if you're interested in understanding what kind of earthworms you have, which has been around for a few years now, which is the Opal Soil Survey. On the other side, there's loads of information of this, which I'll send to you, and it's online as well. Lots of information about assessing your soil, but in terms of what kinds of earthworms you've got and what they're representing, this is a great guide, and you can feed into an online survey, so we'll start to understand distributions of earthworms around the UK as well. No doubt they're one of the best things to look at. Again, evidence from TPOG. Soil carbon, earthworms. Now, we didn't do an earthworm survey. We took quite big cores to look at to measure carbon in our soils. They're taken using a root core, which is like about this big, about 15 centimetres. And we just took out any earthworms that we could see in that. That's not a proper earthworm survey, which is why these bars, which indicate there was lots of change between different soil cores, are so big. But the indication is there that when you had more carbon, you had more earthworms. So I'm really happy to support the idea that earthworms are a good soil health indicator and a good soil organic carbon or soil organic matter indicator. Well, this is actually a Brian Cox school experiment series, which has just gone onto YouTube.
This farm might not look particularly extraordinary, but it is in fact the site of incredibly important research. Scientists here are looking at how understanding what's in our soil can help grow more of the plants we eat.
The soils in these two trays, believe it or not, are taken from next door to each other in some fields. I'm just going to put each one into some water. There's one, and you can see it's floating on the top there, and actually it's absorbing water very slowly. And there's the other that's dropped straight to the bottom. You can see that this one has started to fall apart really quickly. Can you see how it's just disintegrating into the water? If it rained on this soil, this is what happens. The soil falls apart. And then when it dries out a little bit, it becomes really hard like a brick. So plants that grow in this soil can't get their roots through these hard lumps, whilst the plants that grow in this one can get their roots through these lumps. So we think that we can make plants grow bigger if we understand what's happening in this soil, why it's better. The difference between these soils, we think, is that this good soil has lots of goo in it.
The goo that's found in healthy soil can mean the difference between a good and a bad crop, which is why scientists here at Rothamsted are studying what it is and how farmers can promote it.
You can see on this screen some of the animals that live in the soil. The animals make the goo by eating the plants and also eating the soil itself. And then when they've eaten the soil and the dead plants, they go for a poo. And the poo is actually the goo that holds the soil particles together. And we love that because it makes the lumps that make the soil have good structure that plant roots can grow into. The goo contains all of the nutrients that were in the dead plants and also in the other animals, and concentrates it into a nice packet of nutrients for the plant roots to contact and use. That nutrient goes into the plants that we eat. The role that these animals play in providing nutrients for plants and for mixing the soil can help the farmer. What we are doing with our science is we are trying to find out how we can encourage the animals that produce the goo to produce more to help us grow bigger and healthier plants.
And finally, this symposium, which I'm chairing at Rothamsted, is not just for highfalutin scientists at all. I'm making sure that there's a session on Thursday afternoon which is going to be to help farmers to engage in a discussion on measuring soil organic matter in soils. We're going to do some of the visual assessments of soil structure, and it's going to be part of that. So have a look at the website, come along you can. I know it's on the other side of the country, but we're going to have some really great scientists there. I'm going to try and get some policymakers there so you can talk to them about your needs as well. Perhaps Eustace would like to come along to that. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm really happy to help you if you have any questions. And I really look forward to the outcomes of today, because what you say about the soil health indicators will feed into the kind of things that we focus on with our science. Thank you very much.